Okay, so in this example, we're going to subtract two numbers. Okay, so the two numbers that we're going to subtract is 9,327 minus 3,514. So this is the minuend, this is the subtrahend. And so what we're going to do is we're going to first line these up in columns. So I'm going to take this number, just write it over here. Okay, and so now we're going to subtract column by column. So 7 minus 4 gives us 3. And then 2 minus 1 gives us 1. Now then here we have 3 minus 5. So 5 is bigger, so we can't subtract 5 from 3. We don't have enough up here. So we're going to borrow from the column on the left. So that means we can do this, is we can just make this an 8 and borrow 10. So we're going to borrow 10 thousands and add them over here to this column. Okay, so this becomes a 13 now. So 13 minus 5 gives us 8. And then now we're going to do 8 minus 3, which gives us 5. And so the answer, the difference is 5,813. And that's it. Now, what if I did it now? There is another way of doing this that I'll show you. Just a different method. Okay, now this is using the steps, but I could subtract left to right like I showed you in addition. I could just go ahead and do it this way. This is how it works. Okay, again, this is the reason why I do it this way is because it's easier to keep things in your mind and do this in your head. So if we do it left to right like we're reading a book, we do 9 minus 3, which is 6. Okay? But then we come over here, 3 minus 5. I can't subtract 5 from 3 again, right? So I'm going to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from the 6. It really doesn't matter which one I borrow from here. Okay? I could borrow from this one or I could borrow from this one. Okay? So I'm going to borrow from the 6. That makes it 5. And so I'm now going to borrow, that becomes 13. So then again, 13 minus 5 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. 7 minus 4 is 3. And so my answer is 5,813. So I get the same answer. Okay? The reason why I like this way is because I can keep this in my head and do this in my head. So I'm kind of scratching it out in my head as I go across, and I just write down the answers. Because when I teach my daughter and my other kids, when I was teaching them math, is when I subtract here, I'm keeping this in my head, but before I write the number down, I look at this column and I say to myself, okay, is this bigger than this? So in this case here, I have 6 in my head, but then I look over here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to borrow from here, so I'm going to write down 5, and then this becomes 13 minus 5 is 8, and then 1 and 3, and I just write down the answer. So it's easier to do things in your head this way than doing this way. But again, this is what I'm teaching. So if you want to do it right to left and using those steps, as long as you do it correctly, you're fine. Okay? But again, I'm just showing you this method because, again, there's more than one way to do these. But again, this is the steps that I'm teaching here. Okay? Have a great day.